And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them.
Hey guys, how's it going? Cypher here, and if you're not already sitting down, you might want to. Picture this, a future where the government holds the master key to your entire life. One day you're fine, going about your business. The next, because you spoke out against a policy, because you joined the wrong protest, because your social media history got flagged, the state quietly flips a switch. Suddenly, your digital ID is restricted or revoked. No warning, no appeal. Just like that, you can't prove your right to work. No job, no paycheck, no way to pay rent, buy food, or support your family. You're not arrested, you're just erased from the economy. Silenced without a single handcuff. That's not paranoia. That's the end game of what the UK government is quietly building right now. A system where they control who gets to participate in society. And the scariest part? It's already in motion, sold to us as convenience, while paving the way for unprecedented spying, overreach, and total control. Digital ID will initially be required for proving your right to work for new jobs that you start, not existing ones, and no doubt the scope of what digital ID is required for will increase over time. So just before we continue with the video, I'd really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe and like the video. And also drop a comment down below on what your thoughts are on digital ID, as it really helps the channel out. The introduction of a mandatory digital ID was announced by the Prime Minister Keir Starmer on September 26, 2025. Fast forward to the day of making this video early to mid-January 2026, and the government petition against it that closed recently has reached almost 3 million signatures. But despite this, the government appear to be sticking with their statement that they issued on 2nd October 2025, as they are just powering ahead with it. And you can see that statement on the screen. So yeah, this new digital ID is supposed to stop illegal immigration, make accessing government services easier, and enable wider efficiencies. Okay, so how is this supposed to stop illegal immigration when the government are literally doing nothing about the illegal immigration apart from playing politics, and the illegal immigrants who arrive here don't have any ID? So what difference will having digital ID make? We already have many forms of ID that can prove the right to work in the UK, such as a passport, birth certificate, along with many other pieces of documentation. Okay, so just going back to that quote for a second. Yeah, so apparently it's supposed to make accessing government services easier. Not sure your 70-year-old grandma would agree with that. And enable wider efficiencies. Yeah, like the government being able to spy on everything you do and shut your entire life down for having the wrong opinion on social media. So, how is this going to work? Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the government website. Your free digital ID will be stored securely on your phone and will help to prove your identity, including age and residency status, simplifying access to government services and a range of uses across the private sector. So, in other words, the digital ID will likely be stored on an app on your phone, likely the gov.uk wallet. If you're an older person and don't have a phone, then the government are looking into the possibility of issuing physical ID cards. So, if you're an older person, don't expect to be able to get out of it because it ain't happening. As you can probably tell from a lot of the limited details that the government are providing on this topic, they aren't sure how digital ID is going to work themselves yet. They were supposed to be doing a public consultation on digital ID in late 2025, but it has now been delayed to early 2026. And for those of you guys who don't know, a public consultation in the UK is a formal process where government departments or public bodies invite citizens and stakeholders to share their views on proposed policies or legislation before final decisions are made. It acts as a conversation designed to ensure that governance is inclusive and that the people affected by a change have a voice in its development. The UK's proposed digital ID system has an estimated cost of £1.8 billion over 3 years, according to the Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a hell of a lot of money that could be better spent elsewhere, such as feeding the homeless, perhaps. And let's not forget, government IT projects never come in on budget, ever. So whatever number they're giving you now, you can safely double it. Dangers. Now, let's talk about the real dangers here, because this isn't just about inconvenience or wasted money. This is about power. A digital ID isn't just an ID. It's a centralized database that links your identity to your movements, your work status, your benefits, your healthcare, your banking access, and eventually, let's be honest, your online activity. Once everything is tied to one system, the government doesn't need to arrest you to punish you. They don't need warrants, they don't need court orders. They just need to restrict your ID. No ID, no job, no benefits, no travel, no access to services. And before anyone says they'd never do that, governments throughout history have always expanded powers once they're handed them. Every single time. This system creates the perfect infrastructure for mass surveillance. Every time you prove your identity, that interaction can be logged. Where you were, when you were there, what service you accessed, who verified you. Over time, that builds a complete behavioral profile of your life. And don't kid yourself, the phrase "stored securely" is meaningless. Every major government database gets breached eventually. The NHS, the police, the DVLA, HMRC. If your digital ID gets hacked, it's not just a password leak, it's your entire identity compromised in one go. Now let's briefly talk about the so-called advantages, because yes, the government will tell you this is all about convenience. They'll say it's quicker, it reduces fraud, it simplifies access, it modernizes services. Sounds great on paper. But convenience for who? Sure, it might save you a few minutes logging into a service. But that tiny convenience comes at the cost of absolute dependency. Once everything relies on a digital ID, opting out is no longer an option. Your phone dies? Tough luck. App glitches? Tough luck. System outage? Your life is on pause. And let's be very clear. Fraud does not disappear with digital ID. Criminals adapt. They always do. Meanwhile, ordinary, law-abiding citizens get treated like suspects by default, forced to constantly prove who they are just to exist. This also creates a massive problem of mission creep. Today, it's right to work. Tomorrow, it's benefits. Then healthcare. Then travel. Then social media verification. And eventually, behavior. We've already seen governments around the world flirt with concepts like misinformation, harmful speech, and online safety, the COF Online Safety Act. Combine those ideas with a digital ID and suddenly expressing the wrong opinion doesn't just get you a warning. It gets you locked out of society. And the most dangerous part of all, this system doesn't require evil people to run it. It just requires future governments with different priorities. Powers you hand over today don't disappear when a new administration comes in. They stay. And they get used. So when the government says, if you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to fear, remember this. Freedom isn't about doing nothing wrong. Freedom is about not needing permission to live your life. Once your identity becomes digital, centralized, and mandatory, you no longer own it. The state does. And that, my friends, is why this isn't just another policy. It's a line in the sand. Because once this system is fully in place, there's no going back. And that's exactly why they're pushing it so hard, despite millions of people saying no. So I'm going to leave the video there today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like the video, and also drop a comment on what your opinion is on digital ID below. Until next time, Cypher out.